What's up, guys? How are you? Happy Thursday. Welcome into another episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt, and this podcast being brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. Good night last night. If you took everything that I suggested last night, you went 3-1. I don't know what happened to North Carolina. Alabama, they're really good. Bama is going to be a team we're going to look to ride a lot. They walked into North Carolina and smoked the Tar Heels, but Duke wins, covers. Iowa State wins and covers. And the Creighton bleeping Blue Jays. How about that? Told you last night, take the 3.5, take the 4, and money line. Jays do it, and they win outright. Look, as I said last night, when you walk into a building you haven't played in before, look what happened to Auburn. Auburn got up to a 10-2 lead on Duke. And really from that moment on, it was all Duke. Iowa State at home, they got punched in the mouth by Marquette, and then they went on a big run late to take that game and cover. They won by 11. The Jays, well, Creighton got out to a big lead and never let go. They were up by 10 at the break, and they won the game by 13. Like, that wasn't close. The Jays killed Kansas. Killed them. Back-to-back years for the Jays to take down the number one team overall, but this was non-conference. As I told you yesterday, that was a game the Creighton Blue Jay fan base had been waiting for over 25 years. KU didn't care about that game, and it showed. They had no energy. They had no intensity. They couldn't match the Jays, and Pop Isaacs couldn't miss. Hit the 3 early, knock out KU. They were more than comfortable taking the loss and going home. They had no interest. Now, they'll take on Missouri coming up here in a couple of days. I bet they kill Missouri, okay? But if you aren't ready in college basketball to go on the road to an environment that has 17,000 drunk fans screaming at you, perfect storm. Hit the 3, bury KU, take down the number one team in the country. Number 1 and number 2 both lose outright on the road in very difficult environments. Fading teams in college basketball on the road in December, in January, and even February will be something we do quite a bit of here in college basketball. So, up 0.9 units on the day. I've got 2 plays tonight on Thursday Night Football, and I've got 1 NBA play, but do not forget about the live stream coming at you at 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific Time on the BettingPros YouTube channel. I will give you a couple of player props that I like here for the game. I'll take questions. We'll go through the opportunities, what to bet, how to bet it, opportunities with line movement and whatnot. We will jump on it coming up at 7:30 p.m., 4:30 Eastern Time. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific Time on the BettingPros YouTube channel. One more quick bit of news, and then we'll get to the plays for tonight. If you guys have a Spotify Unwrapped, in which the Daily Juice podcast is one of your top 5 most listened to podcasts, go to social media, either Instagram or Twitter or Blue Sky. All 3 are cool. Tag me at Sports Talk Matt. Tag Betting Pros at Betting Pros. Instagram, it's at Betting Pros NFL. Those 2 things. Oh, and hashtag Daily Juice. Those 3 things. At Sports Talk Matt, at Betting Pros or Betting Pros NFL, hashtag Daily Juice. Tag those 3, and I'll give away a $25 gift card here coming up at the end of the week. Really, come Monday. Okay? So as everyone's doing their Spotify Unwrapped, if you are a listener on Spotify, if the Daily Juice is one of your top 5 most listened to podcasts, screenshot it, put it on social, tag at Sports Talk Matt, at Betting Pros or Betting Pros NFL, hashtag Daily Juice. One person will be selected to win a $25 gift card to the Betting Pros store to buy whatever you want. Daily Juice gear, Betting Pros gear, whatever you want, you'll be able to buy it. So if you are doing the Spotify Unwrapped, go ahead, tag us and let us see it. I'll retweet it regardless. At Sports Talk Matt, I'll post it on Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever. I'll post it as well. So for you guys on that. This podcast is being brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. Play $5, get $50 instantly in Pick 6 credits when you use the promo code JUICE at sign up for the new DraftKings Pick 6. You can do it tonight here on a Thursday night. If you would like to do that for the NFL slate, you can go ahead and do that. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available. For problem gambling, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. 18 plus in most eligible jurisdictions, but other age and eligibility restrictions may vary, may apply. Valid only in jurisdictions where DraftKings Pick 6 operates. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including but not limited to New York and California, Ontario. Void where prohibited. You guys will go and find out terms by going to pick6.draftkings.com/promo. Okay, I'm a trend better. We have a hell of a game. Hell of a game. Lions hosting the Packers. The Lions, over the last 3 seasons, are 36-12-1 ATS in the first half against the number. This number is 3.5 for the game, 1.5 for the first half. That's the best mark of any team in the NFL. In fact, when they play a divisional opponent, when the Detroit Lions play a team from the NFC North, the Lions are 12-2-1 ATS in the first half. They've been so dominant that I'm going to lay the 1.5 points for 1.1 units. Actually, 1.2 units on this. Here's the thing. Here's the thought, okay? This team is tremendous at home. This team is tremendous, period. And Jordan Love hasn't been great. He hasn't been great against the NFC North. He's 0-3 ATS in 3 starts against the NFC North, failing to cover this year in any of the games. 5.5 points per game, failing to cover. If you look at the schedule here for the Lions, they're not the Packers are 6-3, 6-6 rather, 0-3 in the division. 4-3 at home, 2-3 on the road. They have covered their last 2 games, both at home against Miami and San Francisco, but against Chicago on the road, they should have lost. Blocked a field goal at the end to win by 1. Against Detroit at home, they were 2-point dogs, lost by 10 in that game. Against the Vikings, they were laying 2.5 at home. They lost by 2. 0-3. Flip side, Detroit's 2-1 in the division, 6-2 in the conference, 4-2 at home. ATS, 8 of their last 10 games, the Lions have covered. Lions come out fast. I'm going to lay the 1.5 points in the first half for the Lions. 12-2-1 is too good of a trend to pass up. I'm jumping on it. Lions, first half, -1.5 for 1.2 units. Now, second play. I'm going to try to thread the needle. Matt LaFleur is 2-2 as a dog against the number this year, but overall, Matt LaFleur is 24-12 ATS. That's 67%. He's also 20-16 straight up as a dog, as a head coach. Under LaFleur, Green Bay has gone 18-5 as an underdog of 3 points or more, and 14-3 ATS as a dog of more than 3 points. They're currently catching 3.5. That's an unbelievable mark. Unbelievable mark. In fact, Matt LaFleur up against teams, according to the Action Network, he's 28-17 ATS against teams above 500 straight up. That's the 3rd best mark of any head coach since his head coaching debut. Here's the problem. He's 0-3 against the number in the same spot, facing the Lions, Texans, and Vikings. Okay? However, in December, Matt LaFleur has been crazy. 18-2 straight up in December. 11-9 ATS. But when he's listed as an underdog, the Packers are 4-0 straight up and 4-0 ATS in the month of December, covering by an average of 16 points. That's dumb. I mean, that's just crazy dumb. One more trend to talk about. After the Thanksgiving game for the Lions, Detroit has won and covered 4 straight after Thanksgiving. They lost 3 straight up in ATS prior. But since 2005, the Lions are 6-13 straight up after Thanksgiving. 6-13 straight up. They are 10-9 ATS, however. They've been dogs in a lot of them, but straight up, 6-13. I'm going to try to thread the needle. Lions first half, -1.5. Packers for the game, plus 3.5 for 1.1 units and 1.2 units for tonight. Player props coming on the BettingPros NFL live stream on Thursday night with me on the BettingPros YouTube channel, coming up at 7:30 Eastern Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern and 4:30 Pacific, live with me for half an hour up to kickoff of Thursday night, Packers and the Lions. The only basketball bet I'm going to make is in the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers are hosting the Denver Nuggets. The number's 3.5. Cleveland is 16-6 ATS so far this year, but they're 10-3 at home. Denver is 4-5 ATS on the road, and they just failed to cover in 3 of their last 4 games, 2 of which were at home, 2 on the road. They were laying 2 against New York at home. They lost by 27 points. They came back on the road against Utah, laying 10.5. They won by 19. On the road against the Clippers, they laid 3. They lost by 4. That same Clipper team that got embarrassed last night. And then they laid 5 against Golden State, and they won by 4 in a come from behind. They were down at the break, and they rallied, but they were at home. On the flip side, this is the 3rd consecutive home game for the Cavaliers. They beat Washington, laying 16. They won by 31. They were laying 1.5 against Boston, and they won by 4. 2 previous games against Atlanta, they lost them both by 11 and by 16. They beat Toronto at home, laying 11.5. They won by 14. Home against New Orleans, laying 14. They won by 28 points. Against Charlotte and Chicago, they laid 10 in both those games, and they won by 18 and 14 there. They have covered in 6 of the last 7 games at home. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have won, and they have covered. I'm going to lay to 3.5 points. Cleveland, -3.5 for 1.1 units up against the Denver Nuggets here tonight in the NBA. I don't hate a play on the money line, but it's expensive, and I'm not really in love with it. It's one of those things where, do you want to lay 3.5 or do you want to lay -160? Not really interested in laying 160 on this, to be quite honest, but if you want to avoid the line, you can lay 160 if you want on that, if you want to just bet money line. Those are our plays for us here today. Lions first half, -1.5 for 1.2 units. Green Bay Packers plus 3.5 for the game at 1.1 units. Cavaliers laying 3.5 for 1.1 units. And props on the pregame show coming up at 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific Time on the BettingPros YouTube channel for our Thursday night live stream. I will talk to you later on for that. My name is Matt Peralt. Follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning. It's the Daily Juice Podcast presented by DraftKings.